Welcome, everyone. Today we're going to go over Max Monday Chansey for June 2nd, which is going to be the second time we've had a Max Monday for Chansey. So let's review. All right. We have the Max Monday schedule for June, and honestly, I think it's a very interesting one. So we have Chansey, obviously, June 2nd, followed by Machop on the 9th, which at this point, it's almost like every single day has been Machop Day in the past week and a half. Hatena, which is a very interesting choice, June 16th. I'm actually kind of excited by it. Caterpie is June 23rd, and one of the most potentially interesting Pokemon is Shuckle, which kind of have a use, but really is just more of a interesting joke on June 29th. But there might be some battles where I'm just going to be putting Shuckle in for the chuckle. But overall, I really like June's Max Monday schedule. The bad news is that Niantic has not given out what the other Pokemon are going to be available for June 2nd. Been scouring all the Twitter posts, and we just haven't been able to get any good idea or solid concrete information. So I'm not going to be able to tell you what to farm in the week, but this is your Max Monday schedule for June, and honestly, I like it. All right, Dynamax Chansey. So your IVs are going to be between 654 and 717, with 717 being your hundo. Being normal, it has the pretty much the most boring weaknesses and strengths. It is weak to fighting and strong against ghosts, both 60% additional damage for fighting and minus 60.9% for ghost. The attack is poor. Actually, it is worse than Shuckle's attack, but at least Blissey is better. The defense is low, but it still has the second highest HP, only to Blissey, 487. Speaking of Blissey, we do not change any of the weaknesses or strengths, and the Blissey evolution is pretty cheap at only 50 candy from Chansey to Blissey. Overall, the attack and defense are better than Chansey, but the defense is still relatively low at 169. It is on par with Snorlax, at least, and its attack, though, is pretty poor, and its stamina, though, is the HP is the highest, obviously, in the class. Fast moves, it has two. It has Pound and Zen Headbutt. You're only going to be using Pound. Do not change that. That is by far the most important move for Blissey. And for charge moves, Hyper Beam is probably the only one that's even going to cause any mild damage. And honestly, it's still not all that strong, as Blissey is just really there to absorb during the battles. Dazzling Gleam is also a little strong, but Hyper Beam is by far its biggest attack, but it has such low attack that as long as you have it leveled 30 or above, they will definitely survive. All in all, it also has Psychic and Wild Charge, so it kind of goes all over the place. But because it's really there, you're going to be bringing in two high HP and I would say high defense units that you can get through in the beginning if you want. If you've got a high enough level, you could just bring in 3 fighting units as well. Nothing really big, brainy that you need to go through there. Blissey and is by far the best healer, though. And actually, we got one of the topper tier healers with Snorlax after I did the first one. Blissey, starting at level 30, can heal equal or more than a max guard. And the difference between a 10 HP IV and a 15 HP IV for healing is pretty much zero healing. And it's zero healing at level 50. And for all the other levels, it is within 1 HP. And it kind of depends on if you're rounding up or down. Will it hit the 1 HP difference? So, all in all, yes, your main goal is to get a 15 IV HP. But if you find something that you really like a 15, 15, 14, it's really not going to make a difference for the healing and barely make, even with as much HP as it has, barely make a huge dent. But Chansey has so much more healing capability over all the other units. The Pokemon that are out there, Snorlax is the one that's closest, and even that is trailing. It's only about 2/3 the power of Chansey, a little more, but just over 2/3. So Chansey in its league of her own, and that's assuming level 3. Even if it's not at level 3, and it's only level 2, and you have a Snorlax at level 3, it's still going to outdo Snorlax. That's how big of a difference it is. So let's go with the Dynamax Chansey Mega Units for Candy. We have Pidgeot, Kangaskhan, Lopunny, and Audino. Honestly, what's interesting is Kangaskhan was my first mega unit, and Audino currently has been my last mega unit that I have gotten. I didn't get Audino until obviously a month ago. These, for me, are actually kind of my weakest mega units because I always forget to spend once a week to upgrade them. I do have a bunch of level 2s here though, so I'll still be able to get at least a 10% chance for an XL and a 50 EXP. But I haven't been following my own advice perfectly. If you can make sure though that you get to level 3 with your megas, it does really help, as even that one extra bonus candy does make a pretty big difference over time. But right now, with the Serene event going on, there are a bunch of Blissies and Chanseys that are out that you can also catch. And I highly suggest, especially if you're still trying to build up your Chansey, to go ahead and farm overall, even without the max points. But more importantly, you can max out your Chansey relatively easy for candy. Obviously, Stardust is always the bigger issue in the end for a lot of trainers, but at least from a candy standpoint, this weekend for the video comes out, and till Tuesday, the day after the Max Monday, there will be a really good chance for you to get a lot of candies for Chansey. So for the overall battle plan for Dynamax Chansey, Chansey just doesn't do that much damage overall. It's a damage sponge, which is what a lot of other trainers use it for. Personally, I think that Zamazenta is going to be the better damage sponge when it comes out, but Zamazenta is going to be very expensive, both in how many passes that you're going to need to get said Pokemon's energy, the 1,000. Basically, you're going to need to do 10 battles in order to upgrade one to be able to use for Dynamax. And on top of it, it requires a lot of Stardust. A level 50, if you're going from level 20 or 25, the Stardust cost there is not a great deal, to level 50, and you are maxing all 3 of its attacks out, which I know is an awful lot. But just an example there, it's going to cost 1 million Stardust. You don't use max points for Zamazenta and for Zacian, or at least that's what Osaka was showing us. So just be prepared for the cost compared to Chansey. And so you're going to still see a lot of Chanseys and Blissies used out there until people, the trainers, have their enough Stardust to be able to get both at least the max attack and shield taken care of. You can use Metagross or another Blissey if you have one. I'm assuming this is going to be your first Chansey if you don't have one already, but obviously you definitely can use Blissey as well. Then transform into your best fighting type during transformations, and if you don't have a fighting type, literally any other type of Pokemon other than Ghost attack will work incredibly well, but fighting will make it approximately 40 be about 55% faster if you can use a fighting type, assuming all equal, everything else being equal, and you just rinse and repeat until you beat Chansey. But overall, it was not too bad of a battle. So is Dynamax Blissey worth it for you? I'm not a huge fan, as a lot of you know, of having Blissey Chansey as your main damage sponge. I prefer to mix and match, but from a cost, as in cost, not money, but in resources, it is fairly efficient. But even then, so it is still important to get a Chansey or Blissey because it is our meta healer. If we ever have a battle where we need healing, this is going to be one of the main options. Its HP is really good for 1 to 2 transformations. Sometimes you can get away with up to 3 or 4 before you just have to start healing. And when you have to start healing, at least for what we've seen as in my group, your damage gets a little bit lower. But I'm going to be honest, we're comparing Are we going to get this done in 2 transformations versus 3 or 4? It's not that big of a deal. I just try to give you what I feel is the most optimal, but it is still a very worthwhile and useful strategy. Right now, the 5 and 6-star battles have been having lower damage output than what we were seeing in the beginning. They have eased it a bit, but I have a feeling that when Zamazenta has been released in GoFest Global, I think that they're going to up the damage just a little bit more to back to where we were initially. Gengar hit much harder than a lot of the other Gmaxes that we've seen. What's odd was Raikou and Entei seemed to hit like an absolute truck and has been hitting harder than the 6-stars. Maybe there's something with the behind the scenes calculations that I don't know what's going on there. I don't hack in there. I just use my spreadsheets to try to figure out the damage to the best of my ability, which honestly it's still been an enigma for me. But seems like the 5-stars have been hitting harder with both the birds and the dogs compared to our Gmaxes. Maybe they've just been making Gmaxes a little bit easier because they do tend to be having a lot more HP overall. And they just try to make it so that other trainers can beat it, which honestly is a good thing. But I just think that they're going to hit a little harder. If it never does, then you know what? I'm blowing up a lot of smoke and I'm wrong, which sometimes this does happen. But all in all, is it worthwhile to level up and get a Blissey and Chansey even with my feelings about it? The answer is most definitely yes. So I highly suggest that you try and do so. If you need help, really, even with level 20 Pokemon, 2 trainers will be able to take down Chansey very easy, as long as obviously you have a decent fighting type fighting with you. So yes, go get it. Make sure that you're able to get it. And as of right now, this is the weekend / and early next week to really start farming up if you need the candies, and at least get it to level 40 and level 2 or level 3 everywhere else for your very much either shields and or healing. Healing is priority. Shields, honestly, because of its defense, is much lower priority, and attack is the lowest priority of the 3. And with that, that's all I've got. I don't have what to farm next week, mostly because I'm still waiting for Niantic to send that out. And as I said, I've been scouring the web and we just haven't really been able to find it. It'll be my luck that they'll post it up as soon as I'm done with the video, but that's all good. If you really enjoy these, please like and subscribe. That really, really helps my channel. I am also live on twitch.tv/MattGuru. I will be happy to answer any questions when I am live. If you join the Wolfpack here, I will also be offering at the end of June. If your community is too small, I will try to get a group of people and start allowing people to remote into my groups. We usually have a pretty busy first hour, but then afterwards, we generally have some room. I can help people get some Gmaxes, and the 5-stars are going to be harder, but the Gmaxes I will be willing to get a few trainers to get through. Usually I'll try to limit down to 1 or 2 per Gmax, but I did do some quick testing, and I definitely can ensure that at least I can do a decent amount of trainers overall. I can't guarantee for every Gmax because it kind of depends on how long that I can play. But and part of the reason I'm not doing it for Rillaboom, Cinderace, and Inteleon is that I might actually have to be remoting into 2 of these because of my schedule. And with that, I won't be offering that until July. But with that, I will also be doing that as well. And with that, that's all I'm really going to do. You can also visit my Patreon instead if you wish, and that's all good. But more importantly, with my rambling on, I'm going to always try and do better next time. And good luck and enjoy.